Righty ho, so we go again with round 4 in Austria for the first part of full qualifying. While drivers select their tyre choices, we sit and wait for them to get into the garage and then onto track. So, the Red Bull Ring is one of the shortest circuits in the calendar with only 10 corners and 7 to the right, 3 to the left. Tyre wear is going to be harsh in parts. The softs are going to only last probably one lap, and we will see a lot of tyre deg on that left hand side of the car due to the stress put through. So last week in Imola, we saw Anime Boy take his and oh no, I've got said that wrong. It's round 3 actually, because Anime Boy has won the last 2 races for Ferrari and puts himself 28 points clear at the top of the standings currently. So he is going to be looking to build and extend that lead at the top, extending his absolutely brilliant form that he's currently got going for himself. So 5's Tin Man, Ryan, Thief, McCoy and Giles are all out on track currently. So 2 reserve drivers are in the Williams of Giles and Will. Will is someone we've not really seen too much of, but we'll be looking to show what he can do in the Williams today and to possibly put himself on the market for a full-time drive over the course of this season or next. We also have Red Mask in the Mercedes as a reserve driver, also wanting to do the same as Will, of putting himself out there for a full-time seat. We do have Tin Man up at turn 3 currently on his flying lap. Does have a few cars ahead of him for a little bit of traffic, but no doubt they will get out the way quick enough so they don't impede him too much. So flying round sector 2 up into turns 7 and 8. Absolutely setting the benchmark, flying through. And has unfortunately invalidated, but would have set the benchmark of a 106, possibly. Unfortunate for him, really. So 5's is going to be the second one across the line. Giles sets a 105.4 for the benchmark. 5's is 3 tenths behind, a very good lap there for the Sauber driver. And a very, very good lap for the Williams driver. McCoy has put it in 3rd and Ryan in 4th in the Racing Bull and McLaren respectively. Ago has gone to 4th fastest with a 106.1. 7 currently on a flying lap, has got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Ferrari does get out of the way nicely for him, possibly got a bit of tow down the straight and round the corners. Does set a pretty decent sector 2, not quite the fastest, but still hopefully good enough for himself to put himself up fighting towards the top 5. He does go bang on 5th fastest with a 105.8, absolutely brilliant lap for the Haas drivers, puts himself just behind his teammate by only 30 milliseconds, if that, for themselves. So the two Haases in 4th and 5th currently. We do have the Ferrari of Logan in 9th, the Racing Bull of Shifty in 10th. Does put a slow lap in, but possibly only a bank lap for that 115. Does seem to be going a little bit quicker at the minute. Is 6.5 seconds quicker on that sector 2 than his previous lap. Absolutely flying through, doing absolute wonders in that Racing Bull currently. Coming around the final corner, keeps it nice and tight, well within track limits. And does take a nice chunk out and does stay 11th, but with a 107.1. Anime Boy goes 10th with a 106.4. Only not going to be pushing himself too much currently. Does have 2 more qualifying sessions to try and lock out that pole position. So he has the advantage going into the race up into turn 1. So the Alpine of Oscar on his flying lap looks to be purple sector 1 maybe, from what I caught a glimpse of. Up into turns 4 and 5 through probably the trickiest part of the circuit, where it does narrow slightly through some of these corners. Does need to take it a little bit careful, as it is very easy to run wide. Does set a 45.8 currently for this lap. Getting a little bit of tow on from the Ferrari ahead of him. Up into the final couple of corners, DRS wide open and goes 9th fastest. Nice lap from the Alpine of Oscar. Logan moves out of his way nicely. Tin Man is on another out lap, ready to go set a flying lap in a moment. Captain Morg in the Red Bull sets a 106.9 as we catch him at the end of his flying lap there. So we have 4 drivers not yet to set a lap time, with Tin Man, Red Mask, the Sauber, Tin Man and Adam currently both on fast laps. The Aston Martin Tin Man is currently just about to go and do his out lap. Adam unfortunately has invalidated his flying lap. Doesn't quite have enough fuel though to go round again. So the Sauber Tin Man coming up through turns 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Again through this tight couple of left-handers. If he's not quite careful, could invalidate, but does keep it just within track limits. Through these final 2 right-handers to finish the lap, absolutely trying to get everything he can. Has used all of his battery on this lap to finish it off and does go 12th fastest with a 106.3. Nice lap time there from the Sauber driver. Logan puts his Ferrari up into P11 with a 106.2. Ego currently on an out lap. We'll go see how he does in a moment. We do have Rowdy, the Aston Martin driver, starting his flying lap through turns 1. Opens the DRS nice and wide. We'll sit on board his whole lap, see how he does. Up through the kink of turn 2, straight into turn 3, fastest sector 1 with a 16.2. a smashing lap time, smashing sector 1 time there for him. Up into turns 4 of this little downhill right-hander and into 5 and 6. As long as he keeps this nice and tight, he could keep it in for P1. Does set a purple sector 2 with a 45.5, so around 28 second, 29 second sector 2 time. Up into the final corner, smashes it, keeps it well there, keeps it nice and controlled through there, and does go 6th fastest with a 105.7. Brilliant lap time from the Aston Martin. Ago currently on his flying but hasn't validated, so that's a shame for him. Let's take a look at this Mercedes of Red Mask. Does put it 13th fastest, just a 10th behind the Ferrari driver and half a 10th ahead of the Kick driver. So Adam, the only driver not to set a flying lap just yet, has just started his current one. Up into turn 2, which is a very strange corner because it's not quite a corner, but it is at the same time. Sets purple sector 1 for Adam in the Aston Martin. We do see Ago unfortunately disqualified for blocking the pit lane. So let's see how Adam does on this final half of the lap. Doesn't have many corners left now. 45.5 for this sector 2 time. Let's see where this will put him as he comes through these final couple of corners. Flying through, keeps it just within, has a little wobble on the exit, but does well to control it, smashes it and goes third quickest, a 10th and a little bit ahead of McCoy in the racing ball. Adam goes P1 with a 105.3, brilliant lap from him, couldn't do any better there, and he is going to be proud of that one. So we are going over to the Red Bull of Captain Morg, where he's currently on track, is just finished through sector 1, is slightly down on his time. So unless he's possibly had a wobble coming out of the first corner, doesn't exactly look to be pushing too much, so maybe just trying to save a little bit of the tyre, but is also trying to do what he can. Although not actually doing much from what I've just seen. Thief about to cross the line to finish his lap, goes 6th fastest again, just behind his teammate. Does have a Ferrari behind him of Anime Boy, who I believe just went 12th fastest with that previous lap. Yeah, had some had a decent amount of tow off Thief, so decent lap time there. Slightly struggling this week though, as we see, but could just be doing enough to see himself through to Q2 and then maybe up the tempo for himself in the next part of qualifying. So Oscar in the Alpine, going for another flying lap, going to do everything he can to pull himself away from the drop zone. Is currently 4/10 away from it, and 7 milliseconds up on his, or down on his time, is very close at the minute. Using the overtake into turn 4, absolutely doing everything and anything he needs to. So up through 5 and 6 into the second sector, or end of second sector, is up by nearly 2/10 on this time. Absolutely having a flyer right now. So as we come through the 10th and final corner, he does everything, cuts enough of the corner without invalidating, and goes 7th fastest with a 105.7. Brilliant lap there from the Alpine. So Ryan is just about to start his flying lap up into turn 1. Keeps that nice and clean, keeps it well within the track limits, well and truly takes every part of the track he can into turn 2 and 3. Used a decent amount of battery on that straight to gain as much as he can for sector 1 and into sector 2, because turn 3 can take a lot of time out of your lap if you get it very slightly wrong, unfortunately. Up into the tight part of sector 2 into sector 3 with these double left-handers and a quick right-hander. Has a slight little slide, keeps it well, doesn't lose too much from what we can see on his time. Keeps it nicely, doesn't have too many cars to contend with as the Sauber went into the pits, and he goes P8 with 9 milliseconds behind Oscar. Nice little time there from the McLaren of Ryan. So we do have shift gears on another flying lap. Has just set one about a 10th quicker than his previous time. Is maybe gonna try and do whatever, or maybe has he not quite got enough battery to do a full lap? It's slightly down on his time as he comes through sector 1. Possibly could make a lot more time up as we come around this final part of the lap, or this final half a lap. That does have just over a minute left. Could he possibly go for another one after this? Who knows? And Zuck goes 15th fastest, just outside the drop zone. Oh, and Shifty takes that corner a little bit wide. May have lost a fair bit of time, but does go 2/10 quicker. Does put himself into P14 outside the drop zone, but with a couple of cars still to go, he could possibly drop, but maybe not far enough to be out in Q1 this time around. So, and that is unfortunate for Logan. Slightly invalidates his lap on the final corner, so doesn't quite get the chance to make another lap for himself, but could well be safe if Zuck goes in, which he looks to be doing. So we are seeing Zuck, Red Mask, Tin Man in the Sauber, and unfortunately Ago being knocked out in this first part of the qualifying session here in Austria. So we are seeing Will has an invalidated lap. We have Anime Boy has actually gone quickest in this first part of qualifying. We've missed his lap unfortunately, but has gone half a tenth quicker than Adam on that final run he did. So very interesting qualifying session there. A lot of changes up and down the grid throughout the whole 18 minutes there. So there you go, unfortunately with a disqualification. Tin Man couldn't quite do enough on his final run to do enough to propel him up the grid a little bit more. So we will be starting 18th. We have Red Mask in 17th and Zuck in 16th for the race in a little while's time. So the top three currently being Anime, Adam and McCoy as our top three finishes in Q1. So qualifying 2 is underway. We await some cars to leave the garages and go on track. We do have movement in the Red Bull garage, the Haas garage, the Ferrari garage, with both drivers leaving. We also have the Williams, the 2 Haas's and a McLaren all going out on track. So let's go on board our first drive out on track of Captain Morg will be our first driver to start their flying lap in around 15 seconds when he gets through these final 2 or 3 corners. Right, here we go. Captain Morg starts our second qualifying session into turn 1, keeps it nice and clean, keeps it within the white lines, does very, very well. So we have Morgan in the Red Bull, we have Jowser just behind him, followed by what I can see of Anime, and then we have Thief, Brian, 7, Logan, the Racing Bull of McCoy, and Adam all currently out on track with just, and Morgan with a 5.8, Giles with a 5.6 to open our qualifying, and we have everyone starting to set some flying times right now. with Ryan at a 5.609, followed by Jalza with a 5.622. Very close for them two at the minute. So, as we watch the final part of Oscar's lap in this Alpine, takes it nicely. Oh, and we do have a Aston Martin into the pit wall, unfortunately, and Oscar goes quickest by almost 0.2. So that was what looks to be Adam. Does spin on the final corner and unfortunately takes his wing off, but does luckily have enough time to set another lap in a moment once he's replaced that front wing. 7 has unfortunately invalidated his lap. 5s will be starting his lap any time soon. We'll go back on board him in a moment. So we have Oliver as our current P1 driver with a 105.31, just over a 1/10.5 quicker than his teammate. So a pretty decent time there, as both drivers have been flying so far. We do have the reserve driver of Will in that Williams, currently P3, setting every current team principal's brain on fire with this performance currently in our qualifying. So let's go on board 5s. He has started his lap, is currently going into turn 4 in this Sauber. Let's see how everyone is doing for tyres. Currently, a fair few drivers doing more than one lap. So, 5s coming through these final couple of lap corners, looking very good at the minute. Is 13th with no time set. Does cut that track limit very, very fine, but keeps it well within, and puts himself nicely between the two Ferraris in P9. Slightly behind Anime Boy's time, but still with plenty of improvements to go. So Anime is out on track. Does look to be slowing down very slightly, maybe going into the pits this time around. Maybe didn't find quite as much time as he wanted to after a couple of laps. But again, still enough time for him to start going back out in a minute. So 7 starting his first flying lap of the session, going into turn 1, keeps it nice and tight. Or maybe not, it kept it nice and tight on the entry, but does go slightly wide on the exit. That's unfortunate, does invalidate his lap time there. Hopefully he has enough battery to go back around, not enough battery, sorry, enough fuel to go back around again, so he doesn't have to go back in. So let's go on board Rowdy, see how he's going to get on for this first lap of his in this qualifying. Lovely turn 1, straight through that corner nicely, no hesitation. Lovely to sector 1 there, purple 16.4, up into turn 3, DRS wide open, down into the run for turn 4. Nice and easy, but still enough power to get down that downhill section. You don't want too much in case you run off at the other end of it. Perfectly through that left-hander. Nice sector 2 there for 45.7. 19 seconds for his sector 2 time. final two corners coming up. Takes that entry of the corner nice, the mid corner and the final corner all perfect. Straight down into the final part goes P9 with a 105.9. Nice opening up for Rowdy there in the Aston Martin. And Adam has just gone to P1 with a 104.9, 4 tenths quicker than Oliver in the Alpine. Absolutely smashing time from the Aston Martin. So we do have a few good drivers on track, of Captain Morg about to finish his flying lap, final couple of corners. Little correction on the way is into turn 10, but does well to not have to do too much. Has slightly lost half a tenth in that little bit. But we do also have the Sauber of fives taking the toe off Morgan for quickest sector 1, was in a perfect position to start his lap directly behind him, got enough of the run through into turn 1 and 2, does take turn 4 nicely with that little downhill corner. Into turns 5 and 6, 7 and 8, takes that well, is half a second up on his previous time. Possibly going to propel himself into the top 6 maybe, if he can keep these final two corners well. And does exactly that. Perfect run into the straight and propels himself into P5, nearly 6 tenths quicker than his previous lap. I was meant to say P3, sorry. Sticks himself in between the two Alpines. So, lovely little lap there from fives, and may not need to go back out again. So 7 is on another outlap, has had an unfortunate second qualifying session so far. There's still enough time for him to be able to get something from it. Logan is on his way in, currently sat P13, just behind his teammate. We have Rowdy on his way in, Thief on a fast lap currently in the other Haas, is on fresh tyres with 3.5 minutes to go in this second qualifying. So where can Thief put this Haas? Does come round the final corner, takes it well, takes the exit apex well, and does go above fives into P3 with a lovely 105.3, little bit behind Oliver, but still well within fighting distance for himself and everyone else around. So 7 does fly around the final corner, takes it nicely. Can he get himself up with his teammate? Yes, he can. He goes P2 with a 105.2 and only 3 attempts behind the Aston Martin of Adam. So far, some very, very good times coming through, some very, very good laps coming in, and some brilliant driving from all drivers to not get in the way of each other as well. So we do currently have Adam 7, Oliver Thief and 5s as our top 5. all about half a second in it for themselves. Anything can change in these final 2 minutes. So a lot of drivers now on more outlaps to do their final runs for this battle for safety, really. Anyone is on edge for the drop. Anyone could still drop out. Little wobble there from Anime Boy, but does keep it together. Is gonna be trying to do whatever he can to get that Ferrari a lot higher than where he is. Has shown good pace in the previous session. Has shown some good pace in this session as well. But will be wanting a lot more from a personal perspective for himself as well. Does set a quick sector 2 time. Up into turns 9 and 10, doesn't have too much battery left. Could cost him maybe, but needs to use it well. Has gained a nice amount for this final run, uses all he can and goes P10. Exact same time there as Oscar in the Alpine with a 105.477. Isn't quite safe though, with everyone behind him still setting their lap times. So we go to Anime's teammate of Logan for the final corner. Oh, it does have a little wobble, but does keep it well. Flies through, goes P13 with a 105.8. That is unfortunate for him, but won't quite make it through to Q3. Baldi, about to finish his lap, goes P11 with a 5.486. Very good lap again from the Aston Martin driver. So Will is on his way into the pits. Clearly thinks he may not have been improving, or doesn't feel he had enough for the final couple of corners, with shifting out, final flying round. Does improve by 35 milliseconds, but it's not quite enough to move him up from 15th place right now. So Oliver has backed out of his lap and everyone else has started to go in. Another brilliant qualifying session from everyone. And we are unfortunate to lose Rowdy in the Aston Martin, Captain Morg in the Red Bull, Will in the Williams, Logan in the Ferrari, and Shifty in the Racing Bull. So again, some very close times in that session. Not much separating the drivers there. 1.5 seconds between 15th and 1st. Not much between the drop zone either, with Rowdy and Anime Boy. Only a 10 milliseconds separates them. Very close for anyone to have dropped out or even got through to the next part of qualifying and the final part. So now we will have this last part. Everything to play for. Anyone could take pole, but Adam has looked very, very strong so far and could potentially take it this time around. We also can't discount Anime Boy, who can pull a lap out of anywhere and stick it also into P1. Has been very strong in these first two races of the season and could put Adam under pressure to get this pole position. So, we have drivers out on track. We've got Oscar, 7-5s, Oliver, Ryan, Thief, McCoy, Giles, Anime, Adam, all on their way to do their flying laps. We have 5s and Anime Boy leading us away to get them going. With, is that Thief or is that 7 just behind them? That is Thief just behind both of them. Oh, a little bit wide on the exit, but does keep it within limits so he doesn't invalidate his first lap of this final qualifying. He is going to need to be careful of 5s behind him taking a lot of the tow round this lap. We'll probably try and break away round the corners, but it's not always possible if you're aiming for more speed than cornering. Anime absolutely flying at the minute. Does unfortunately look to be losing P1 to 5s, who is very close behind. Did take that very well to sneak behind him before they started the laps and has invalidated. That is very unfortunate from 5s. 105.1 as well. He was 4 tenths quicker than Anime Boy, but Anime Boy is currently provisional pole. But that gets taken by the Haas of 7. Oliver in that 3rd. Now Adam has gone flying straight in there with a 104.9. Absolutely cracking lap again from him. He cannot be beaten right now. He's just too quick round it for people. McCoy has hit P2 with a 105.2. Another good lap from him in that racing ball. So, Jowser is on a flyer currently. Heading into into turn 4, has had a little bit of traffic with the McLaren and the Red Bull. Does now set the quickest sector 2 time. And into the final couple of corners, hasn't got much battery, absolutely pushing this to try and get himself as high up as he can. And that goes P4. Great lap with a 5.3, half a tenth quicker than Oliver in the Alpine. just getting quicker and quicker, all of these drivers with all of these times. So drivers will probably stay in their garages for a little bit, make sure they have everything going and all their setups properly adjusted for their final runs. We do see Fives head out again to try and get a lap on the board for himself. Just gonna have a drink, sorry, bear with me a moment. So, Fives on for his flying lap now. Up into turn 1, keeps it nice and tight on the exit. Into turns 2 and 3, slightly difficult into the entry of turn 3 as it is uphill, and so is the exit downhill into turn 4. Slightly bumpy long straight there. Tricky downhill braking zone into 4 and exit downhill. Pick up a nice bit of speed there. Perfectly through sector 2 at 45 dead so far for this lap time. Into turns 9 and 10, absolutely flying right now, this Sauber driver. And does stay and does go a P3. 3 tenths behind Adam, a few milliseconds behind McCoy, but 4.5 minutes to go in qualifying, and we will see who is going to get this pole position. Currently, provisional pole is Adam. So, we do have the other Haas of Thief currently on out the fast lap, sorry. He is a 10th up on this flying lap. Currently P10 as well. Does aim for... Oh, mine's gone blank. Sorry. Into the final part of Sector 2, start of Sector 3, takes 5, 6, 7 and 8 nicely, is 8 times up perfectly for himself, is gonna be aiming to go even further up the grid than he currently is, wanting to try and get into that top 4 with his teammate. Does currently go P5, nice time there from Thief. Slightly behind his teammate, there's still enough time for him to get in and out again. So Giles are currently on another flying lap, aiming to try and get higher than a P6. He's very close in this, within these drivers between between P2 to P7. only a tenth and a half or so separates them. So anyone could go up, anyone could drop out of them few spots around there. So he does go P2 and a tenth and a little bit behind Adam. Brilliant lap there from Drowser in that Williams. Having a brilliant qualifying all in all for himself right now. So McCoy is also on a flying lap trying to get a lot more time for from the car. No, he's not. I stand corrected. He is on his way into the pits. Maybe he has backed out of that, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't long been out, but no, who knows. So 7 and Thief are both on flying laps again. So Thief does come through turns 9, keeps it nice and tight, takes enough of the curb on the exit, and again for turn 10 is up and goes to P3. Perfect lap for himself there. We do have Anime now in the Ferrari, the current championship leader, up into turn 2 and 3. Got a nice toe, has a perfect toe, in fact 3 tenths up from that as well. Has plenty of this lap to go though, is using every little bit of that battery that he possibly can right now without using too much to mess his lap up at the end. Is through turns 5 and 6 nicely, has absolutely flown through there, keeps it nice and tight onto the apex, still 3 tenths up, almost 4 tenths, absolutely flying, and goes, and Adam has just gone 2 tenths quicker than his previous lap time with a 104.7. Anime Boy goes slightly wide on the exit, but does improve still, goes 2 tenths quicker and goes to P6 with a 5.2 to end his qualifying right there. Not quite the session he wanted, but we do have 36 laps coming up in a moment. Not too sure what's going on here, but we do have people going around. And Ryan is about to go around the final lap. Not too sure what happened there. Thief is on his way in. Oliver has gone in, and so has Adam. So that concludes qualifying here for Austria. Absolutely brilliant lap times from all the drivers right now. And we do see Adam take pole position for this third race of the season in Austria, and an absolutely brilliant time for himself with a 104.794, followed by Jowser in P2 with a 105.0. So our top 3 here in Austria is Oliver in third, Jowser in second, Adam takes pole position. Brilliant drive session from all of them, and much deserved pole position for Adam after being so quick throughout the previous 2. So, as we wait for the drivers to sort out their strategies and their fuel, we will take a moment's break and we'll be back for the formation lap in a minute. Right, so here we go with the formation lap for the third round of CanAm's 7th season. So, as we go into this race, we have Adam taking his second pole position of the season. He will be hoping to convert this one into a race win. We also have Anime Boy in some fine race form at the minute, taking 2 wins from the first 2 races of the season. So he's going to be wanting to do everything he can to make his way from 6th up into 1st. We also will be looking out for Oliver in the Alpine, currently 2nd in the drivers' standings. 28 points behind Anime, but again, will want to do anything he can to hold Anime back to try and cut some of the gap, so he's cut some of the gap early on in this season for this for this championship fight that he could go into. So, as we wait for Ego and Tin Man to line up at the back of the grid, finding their grid slots, we are going to wait for the 5 lights now. And why the RS disabled popped up on the first lap, who knows? And we have cars on the way. We are on our run into turn 1. Giles are fighting. Adam cuts the corner slightly. Adam takes a nice advantage into the run up into turn 2 and 3. Little bit scrappy, is slightly behind, but everyone keeps it clean. Everyone keeps it fair, and absolutely brilliant driving from everyone. Jalza has dropped that down to 5th now, Anime up to 4th already in this first half a lap. Great driving from everyone so far. We do have a driver at the back slowly. We do have Ago going off at turn 3. Unfortunate for him really, not the best of races so far, not the best of qualifying for him, but still 37 laps to go. We do have Oliver chasing Adam for the lead right now, going into the second lap. Great start from everyone, they all kept it well, they all kept it clean, and they all kept out of trouble. So, first lap is done here. Adam doing everything he can to break the toe of Oliver. McCoy currently sat up behind the Alpine as well, followed by Anime Jowser, 7, 5, Ryan, Bowdy, Oscar to round off your top 10 after that opening lap. We then have Will, Shifty, Logan, Thief, Captain Morg, Red Mask, Zuck, and Tin Man does get past Zuck. Them two are having a nice little battle trying to get anything they can into this next lap and try and keep the DRS onto each other. We did have the tyre strategy to come up there of a medium hard or a medium soft, or was that a medium hard? I didn't quite see the second strategy option, but it was a 1-stop or a 2-stop race for these drivers today. So we are currently on board back in the McLaren, slowly falling off the back of the Sauberton man. Can he gain enough time now to try and make a difference going into the 3rd and 4th lap? Trying to gain some using his battery, but not quite enough to gain much time. So Adam and Oliver are fighting for this lead now. Absolutely great, clean racing from them both. Kept it well within their rights and well within track limits for them both, and without hitting or taking each other out. So it's going to be a great little battle here for the lead and for even the top 3 spots. So Adam, McCoy and Oliver all in this fight for the lead. We do also have Anime pushing his way through the grid, up 2 spots from the start. Has slightly let off a little bit, just letting the race turn itself out and everyone settle into it a little bit more. So Adam and Oliver have... Wait, what? Who had DRS out of them two in the end? But McCoy was on the back with DRS. And does try and mount a challenge on this top 2 to try and get into the lead himself and dictate some of the pace of this race to push himself even further up. So Adam currently leading into lap 5, having a very tough battle so far, very fair battle as well. No taking it away from these two drivers. They are respecting one another, they are giving each other enough space and not forcing anyone to make any reckless moves. Slight look up from Oliver. It's going to cost him slightly towards the end of the stint, but not too much right now. The race is just starting to break up a little bit. Anime has dropped and unfortunately down to 9th. Not too sure what happened. Maybe a little spin or loss of traction maybe. Oh, and McCoy goes right off at turn 6 there. Not the best of corners for him right now. Did have a slight look up, but that's not too good. It's going to cost him now big time. He is down to 12. He has lost 9 spots in this race. So as we look further down the grid, we do have Jowser making his way back up. He is currently 5th, slightly behind 5s, trying to do what he can to break back into that top 3 to where he was. Oh, we do have a look up from Oliver into turn 3. It's not going to be quite good as we have to run into turn 4. But Jowser just playing little games here with 5s, trying to do anything he can. Not going to put the pressure on too much, but enough to make a move when one opens up for him. What 5s does go slightly slow into there, but does keep it well within. Goes slightly wide so Jowser can get the move done. Ryan also goes past. So, lap 7 of 36. Everyone is still nice and close. A lot of battles going on throughout the whole field. Perfect bit of action. Anime goes slightly wide again, not having the best of opening 8 laps so far. A few lockups going into turn 3 isn't the easiest of braking zones, as it is slightly uphill and you are having to make a slight right-hander as well. Do have a yellow flag out. Not. Oh, who is that? That is Will in the Williams. Not too good for him there, but again, plenty of time for him to get back. So we have McCoy making moves on Morg to get up back into P11, trying to make his way back into the top 10 to salvage something from that earlier lockup. Morg will do what he can now to stay on the back of him, try and get past. Beef a little bit out of DRS of the Ferrari driver. McCoy tries to make a move, realises it's not quite on, backs out, waits for this straight. A little bit of a longer one for him to make the move, and he does get it done. But Thief has the DRS to come back, possibly. Yes, he does. Sends him wide, makes the move on the outside, nicely done. Oh, hits the gravel, not quite how he wanted it to happen. But does stay ahead, but now loses the position, possibly loses a second to Morg. Now drops down to P12. That's unfortunate. It was going well up until turn 4 and 5. Not too much of a problem though, as he will now get DRS back on the Red Bull driver of Morg. Does have a little bit more pace, so could well get past on this straight. Does make a look, but backs out, stays behind him. Probably the best decision that he could do. Will he make the move into turn 4? Not quite, doesn't quite have the pace. Does have a little look up into the entry of it. That was turn 3, sorry. Now we're going up to turn 4. Morg makes the move on McCoy. Thief a little bit further behind now, so not going to be able to make any moves into 4 and 5. Is staying behind. Probably going to do what he can to stay within the DRS of McCoy. Do whatever he needs to do as well to hold off Red Mask, but not compromise too much of the attack. So 10 man does get a penalty, possibly for track limits. So Thief up into P10 currently, McCoy up into P8, Morg P9. Who was it that boxed just a moment ago? Let's see, we have had a couple of drivers of Anime for definite. What has so far boxed. We do also have we've had Adam box from the lead to put on the hard tyres early on in this race. We've also had Anime about a lap ago put the hard tyres on also. Will they try and take these till the end of the race? Who knows? So as we hit about a third of the way into this race, we have 7 in the lead, followed by Jowser, followed by 5s. We also have Thief on that has dropped, is up to 8th after McCoy and Morg have dropped. What have I missed here? I am so sorry. Right, we do have Brian, Rowdy, 5s, Jowser all battling out for the lead. We do have Jowser just taking the lead and 7 getting the DRS into the run up to turn 4. Much longer DRS zone, or much shorter DRS zone than the previous one. Could he get the move done? He does get the move done, keeps it nice, takes the inside line, makes Jowser slightly back out a little bit more than he probably wanted to do. So 7 Jowser Rowdy round off, or round up the top 3 currently. We are going to have a quality race right to the end. Adam has boxed again for the medium tyres, not too sure what happened there. Shifty has also boxed for the hards. Anime is also on the hards. They are the only pit stops we've had so far. Adam has had 2 pit stops now. Oh, and Jowser takes a spin. That's unfortunate out of the 3rd corner there. Not what he would have wanted, but does drop to P5. Does make a position up quickly. Ryan has now dropped to P7. Red Mask is P8. Does have a fair few cars behind him. Very, very good battles coming up. So we do have Thief, McCoy, Morg, Logan all behind the Mercedes of Red Mask. This is going to be a tough ask for the Mercedes driver to try and battle all of these drivers and try and hold them off. Does go slightly wide on the exit of turn 10. Not the best of run-ups into turn 1. Will have lost a little bit of time. Does do well to keep the gap at half a second, so Thief doesn't do too much damage to that time. Thief is now 2 tenths behind. They make a little bit of contact there. Does possibly look like it, but it also looks like Thief lost the rear slightly. Not what he would have wanted. It does cost him a little bit of time in the run up. And we do have Adam with the fastest lap of a 107.486 so far on that medium tyre. So, Red and Thief battling out. Red has actually moved up onto the Alpines gearbox now. Only 3 tenths behind. Thief is 9 tenths behind. Did drop to just over a second, but made it back enough to break into the DRS to make sure no one else can overtake him. Oscar has dropped a little bit due to not having a DRS. Thief has also overtaken him. McCoy, Morg have both moved up. The Thief is now up to P4 slowly. Oh, loses the rear slightly. Does keep it out of the front wing of Red. Not what he would have wanted. That's the couple of laps running now that he's had an issue coming out of that corner. Thief locks up slightly. Not the best of couple of laps for him. He's gonna wanna move on from that and get onto the back of Red Mask before this DRS, so we can get as close as possible, so we can get past him and move on to aiming for the top 3. So 7 has come into the pits on lap 16 of 36 this race, possibly going onto the hard tyres, but we will find out in a minute. Rowdy has moved into P1 just over, or just shy of 2 seconds ahead of the Sauber driver 5s. Having a good race so far. Has started on the hard tyres, so can do a very good distance so far. And will be able to do many more laps on them tyres before he's even got to think about a pit stop. 5s will need to come in before him due to being on the medium tyres. Is biding his time slightly, has lost a little bit more time on him, is slowly is actually now coming into the pits, has realised that the medium tyres are dropping off and not doing what they need to be doing 16 laps into this race. So that is going to give Rowdy a bigger lead now ahead of Red in the Mercedes, which will move him up into P2, Thief into P3. So let's go into Anime. There he is. Here is the Ferrari driver, the current championship leader as well. Currently P4 after starting P5, is having a P6, sorry, is having a slightly better last few laps after a couple of bad opening laps, but is making some ground on this top 3 to try and do anything he can. Has already boxed, so doesn't need to do anything else right now. Can just focus on his own race. Did box 8 laps ago, so is on much older tyres than cars around behind him. But we still do have Red, Thief and Rowdy all yet to box. So this race is still to play for, still anything can happen. And unfortunately the Sauber does get another penalty of Tin Man. We do have the Alpine Oliver currently second in the standings. Absolutely smashing it on them hard tyres currently. Did pit at the same time as Ryan and Giles, so them three have anything to play for with not much time separating them currently. We then have fives slightly behind, followed by 7 behind him there. All again, both within a few tenths of each other and a few tenths behind the top 7 to try and get somewhere else in this race. To try and build a slightly bigger gap to the cars behind so they don't have to worry too much about losing too many more positions or even have to worry about after the cars ahead have boxed from the top frame. So CanAm has dropped that gap now from 6 seconds to 3.5 seconds, gaining a lot of time and a lot of ground. Hasn't got to worry about too much tyre wear at the minute though, due to having a lot fresher tyres and cars ahead. Doesn't really have to push too much due to them not boxing it. So as we look further down the grid, we do have McLaren of Zuck currently in 16th, 8 tenths behind Adam. Zuck, his season so far has been one of some highs. Currently sits 5th in the championship with a very good drive over the past, or a very good season opening in the first 2 rounds, scoring 12 points, sitting 5th with drive of the day, a little bit behind Adam, who currently sits 4th, but still all to play for these 2 drivers. Currently both outside the point, but they are both fighting each other at the minute. So anything could happen for these 2. So Ryan is currently sitting 3rd in this championship at the minute. 18 points. Fair few behind the leader, but still having a good season so far. Has scored a P2 in sorry. I believe that was in season opener in Canada. I believe he scored a P2. Could potentially be wrong. But has had a strong start. Anything could happen for him now. So CanAm has taken the lead after the front 3 boxed. So Red Thief both taken the medium tires. Rowdy has taken for these final 15 laps of the race. So we go forward now of Jowser, 2 tenths behind 5s, looking for a quick overtake to try and get up to top 6. Try and make a dent to the top 5 if he possibly can. 5s has a lot of power behind him. He is doing everything he can to defend. Quite enough pace on him this time though, as Jowser has the DRS and gets about 10 kilometers extra speed down the straight open. Whereas 5s unfortunately doesn't get that, but does get it now. Has got a slightly longer straight, quite close enough to go for the overtake. We do have a disqualification, unfortunately, for Will in the Williams, has spun outside the pit lane, unfortunately gone across the pit exit, and the game does not allow that. Doesn't, unfortunately, just doesn't allow it. Doesn't give you much chance to react, unfortunately, either. So Rowdy absolutely flying, trying to build a gap to Oliver in P3, but close the gap to Anime in P1. Is on much fresher time, much quicker times. Anime has done 14 laps on them times so far, but anything is to go and anything to play for still. So, as we look at penalties, Anime is on 3 seconds, so that's unfortunate for him there. 7 is on 3, as well as Red, Oscar, Boy, Adam, and Shifty all on 3 seconds. We also see Thief, 5, Ryan, all on 6, and unfortunately the Sauber of Tin Man, not the best for him, but still enough time to build a gap from the cars behind him, and he potentially has the pace to do that in this race. So, as we come to the final 13 laps of this race, Rowdy is 1.2 seconds behind Anime Boy. We have Ryan half a second behind 7. Let's go on board this battle and see what happens over the next couple of laps. We have a lot of drivers within DRS here. We have 4 drivers, all behind the Haas driver, all within DRS. So Ryan, Oliver, Giles at 5 will all be having that rear wing open down the straight when we get there. So we are 13 laps from the end. Anime is about to cross the line. Rowdy does have the DRS possibly going onto the straight. It's gaining, not quite close enough to make a move on this time around. We'll have a much longer DRS straight line. Rowdy is 7 tenths behind, isn't quite going to be able to make a move now, but we'll have DRS for the 3rd time in a row to try and close that gap even further. Does make the move early. I think Anime had a slightly dodgy exit, but Rowdy gets past much quicker times. But Anime's not even going to try and fight that, as he possibly, his tyres are not quite capable, but will stay in the slipstream. This is going to be a brilliant battle to the end. Is Anime playing games, or is Rowdy going to pull away? He does have 2 wins to his name this season. He does have stats on his side. He will be wanting to do anything he can. So we come down the main straight, DRS wide open for Anime, and will be again this time around. Will he be clever, or will he try and make the move early? We will sit on board and find out. He looks at the move, he stays behind, doesn't do anything silly, just wants to guide this race out. Ryan and 7 have crashed by the looks of it. What has happened here? Oh my days. We've just missed a big crash because we had a good battle up front. We do have a safety car. 11 laps to the end of this race. That is unfortunate for 7 and Ryan, clearly having a very good battle, but slightly off for them both there. So, 11 laps to go. This race will be wide open. And Shifty gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not good for him, but one of those things this year. They have upped the time penalty, and Ago has a little spin. That's unfortunate for him. will have plenty of time. Not the weekend he had, well, not the race night he has needed today. Still a long way to go in this season, and a long way for him to go. So, almost, in fact, the whole grid looks to have boxed for, I'm gonna say, soft tyres maybe, or maybe some mediums if they have them. So far, Red has made the most improvement in this race by going up 11 positions. We also have Audi making 9 positions. Anime got the jump in the pit lane. That's unfortunate for Audi, but this is going to be ordered now for the last 10 laps. Maybe the last 7 or 6, depending on how long the safety car is out for. So the end of this race will be interesting. Let's see what tyres people have gone for. So, a very mixed grid right now. So, everyone in the top. So the top 13 drivers have a mix of soft and medium fresh tyres. We have Tin Man in the Sauber on a set of fresh tyres. And a couple of drivers on slightly older tyres, but Shifty actually did put a set of fresh on, as unfortunately on a little bit longer. So, a couple of drivers on older tyres, everyone else on fresher tyres. This has opened the race up. Now, this is going to be interesting. This will get very good towards the end. So, 9 laps to go. 8 laps to go, sorry. We have Anime leading us under the safety car, followed by Rowdy, Oliver, Jowsy, Red, Beef, Fives, Oscar, McQuaid, rounding off the top 10. Zuck, Adam, Logan, Ago, Tin Man, and Shifty finishing off the grid there. So, as the safety car stays out, possibly for another lap, we will, safety car out for another lap. Anime Boy leading. He will probably go when everyone is least expecting it, or he could go when everyone is expecting it. Oh, I've taken the wrong thing off, my bad. There we go. So, penalties for everyone on, not everyone obviously, but Shifty has 13 seconds, unfortunately due to 10 seconds being a pit lane infringement of speeding. I feel 10 seconds on this game this year is very, very harsh. I don't know about everyone else, but it seems a little bit excessive. So, safety car will be in this lap. And we have Anime Boy, Rowdy, Oliver as our top 3 currently. our provisional podium for these last 7 laps of the race when we get going. So, Tin Man has a 10-second penalty as well for a severe collision, which probably wasn't even that severe, and Anime gets us going for the final 7 laps of this race. Has a 3-second penalty, will do anything and everything he can, has a little lock up on that right hand side. Rowdy on the soft tyres, gonna go straight for the attack, straight on Anime. Will give anything for the race win here. Anime has a little lock up. Rowdy now takes the lead. Great little overtake without any DRS needed. Is on the quicker tyre, which could burn off slightly earlier than the mediums in these final few laps. Oliver also makes a move on Anime. Does take P2. Jowder now. Anime is dropping. Has gone off. That's not the start Anime needed from this safety car restart. That is really unfortunate for him. Has dropped from 1st to 14th. That's really unfortunate. Has still got 7 laps to go, or 6 laps to go when we cross the line again to build a so Rowdy is in 1st place, followed by Oliver, followed by Jowder, followed by Morg for these final 5 laps of the race. All on the, I believe all of these drivers are on these soft tyres, so everything is to play for. Not quite. We have Morg and Rowdy on the softs, we have Oliver and Jowder on the mediums. So anything could happen with these 4 drivers. 5 laps to go, all within a second of each other now. And Morg slowly dropping off, but still within the DRS of Jowder. Red is currently slowly dropping off the back though of Morg, but still plenty of time to play for as these 3 drivers have a little battle going into turn 2 and 3. Very, very tight. A few lockups from all the drivers there. Very close on the exit. Very brilliant driving for them not to make contact. Absolutely fantastic battles between these drivers. All looking for their first win of the season. All doing whatever they can to get maximum points from this race. So Oliver takes the lead. Rowdy in 2nd, Jowder in 3rd, and Morg still in 4th. Followed by Red, who has gained a lovely 4 and a bit attempts to stay in 5th, but build himself a little bit more of a gap between Oscar. Is flickering between that 9 attempts and a 2nd mark, but is wanting to try and stay in the getting the DRS. Does miss out this time around. Will get it for the longer straight, which is more needed now than it will be any other time of this race to close the gap on the top 4 to get as many points as he possibly can. So Adam makes it back into the top 10. He is currently battling 5. So let's have a look at their little look at their battle as we go in to the final few laps. We have Adam and 5 absolutely going hill to toe in this race, not giving each other much space, but enough to battle fairly. Adam is now into P9, with this will have the DRS as well, has got the pace now to fight for P8, has shown a lot of pace on them soft tyres throughout qualifying today as well, so could well make the most out of it. Is battling Thief for P8. Thief does have a little look up, that's unfortunate again. A lot of drivers looking up into turn 2 and 3, well, into turn 3, sorry, up that little uphill right-hander. Now we're into a downhill right-hander of turn 4 and 5. Isn't always the easiest way to predict how or when the car ahead is going to brake, especially with all these lockups at the minute with drivers and all the smoke about. So Logan is battling up from P13 into P12, absolutely doing anything he can, and Anime is out. How's not quite sure when he went out, but we do have 15 cars left. Logan is all over the back of the McLaren now, aiming to get his first points of the season. Smashing some brilliant laps in here, up into P11. That's a nice overtake on the inside of the McLaren, keeps it nice and close, keeps it nice and tight. Perfect driving from both drivers. Is now on picking up the pace to try and get into the top 10. Fives in the Sauber, doing everything he can to defend and attack at the same time, so he's not losing too much time. Doing whatever he can to smash this and get some points for himself in this race. So let's go back to the top of the grid on this final lap of the race. We have Rowdy, Oliver, Jowser still as our top 3. Brilliant battles from all of these drivers today. So Oliver takes the lead, nice little battles. And Adam slowly nicks the DRS right at the last minute. Has a little bit of contact mid-corner. Nothing too major, but does allow Jowser to build a little bit of a closer gap. Not build a gap, sorry. But does gain some time on them both. We are going to have a 4-way battle here for the win on these final 4 corners, sorry. This is going to be an epic final couple of corners. We do have a car go slightly wide. Jowser does go wide. Morgan does take P3 up into the final 2 corners. Oh my god, we've just had a crash between Rowdy and Oliver. That is not good. That is not good. So Morgan in the Red Bull capitalises on that. Jowser in 2nd. Oliver in 3rd. Oscar in 4th. Rowdy goes up to 4th, Oscar 5th, Adam 6th, Red Mar in 7th, 8th McCoy, Logan. Oh my days, what an end to that race. I was not expecting that crash at the end of the race. Not too sure what happened between them two there. Maybe a little bit close, maybe a little bit happy for them. Maybe they were getting a little bit ahead of themselves before they even got to the line. But that just made the end of the race a lot more interesting than expected, as we were on for a great 4-way finish. But we did have a brilliant job. We did have a brilliant drive from all the drivers and a very well deserved podium here of Morgan getting his first win of the season, Jowser in 2nd and Oliver in 3rd, and I believe that will cut the gap for Oliver in the championship standings. Now, what a race. what a battle for the majority of that. And phew, what an Austrian Grand Prix. So on that's it. What a race. What a battle for everyone. A lot of drivers with time penalties in the end on them final few laps. From that safety car onwards, it was absolutely carnage. Everyone on slightly different strategies thinking they could do it. But that is what we got today. Great battles, great driving. And yeah, so I have been Bucko. Thank you everyone for watching. And until next week, we will see you in Silverstone. Bye bye.